Hello, and thanks for tuning in to the Dream is Real podcast. This is a place if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in New York real estate. Before we get started, make sure that you like, share, subscribe, turn on those notifications. Don't want to miss an episode. We've been getting a ton of great feedback, so keep that coming as well. We want to bring you great content. Today is no different. I am with Dominick Panetta of Panetta Home Inspections. Thank you for being with us, Dominic.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about you, your background, maybe how you got into the industry.
Okay. I started doing handyman type work part-time and did some home inspections probably for the past 10 years. And then with COVID, I have another business. I have a karate school in Huntington.
Oh, very cool.
Yes, which I've had for 31 years. Okay, so that was built up and things were going well. COVID hit, I had to shut down. So I lost half my business. So in 2020, I decided to shift from part-time to full-time doing home inspections. And I'm still teaching, martial arts and self-defense, but that's more of the part-time. Still have both businesses, but I had to pivot at that point because, I needed to do something to support my family. So I started doing home inspections full-time about 5 years ago. But I've been doing it for 10 years in total. And over the past 5 years, working with, different companies, different real estate organizations, and just building up the business, and things have been moving, better than expected right now, which is great. So it is growing at a good pace.
So you saw the situation that you were in, and you decided to make the move.
Right.
Very much like martial arts. So you have to adapt to the situation. That's what you did there.
Right. Yeah, I had no choice. I have 3 kids, 2 in college, so the only way is to make a change, and without shutting down my other business, which I don't want to do because it's something that I have a passion for and plan on doing for the rest of my life, along with home inspections because it's something I can do forever as long as physically my body lets me do it. So I pivoted, and it was the right move at the right time. So it's definitely worked out so far.
Yeah, I mean, the market changed. A lot of things changed, but my family, we bought our house during that time as well, right? So definitely wasn't short on work during that time. You probably made some good connections, and we're here. The concept of this show here being the dream is real, right? We want to be able to show that the real estate is a catalyst for many things. We all need a place to live, but for many of those that are looking to get into the industry in the different areas, it could be something that sustains your family, like you're seeing here, right? So as far as inspections go, obviously a very important part of the transaction, and we see a lot of people saying, "Oh, well, let me just be competitive. Let me waive the inspection." I know your take on it. It's a risky maneuver, right?
Right. Yeah, I could give you my take on it. Even if I wasn't in the business, I would never recommend waiving an inspection. Okay, you can waive that you're going to negotiate after an inspection and use it for information purposes. Okay, so that's fine. Okay, but I relate it to you're buying a new car that has all these bells and whistles, and then they just hand you the keys and you drive off the lot, and now you don't even know how to turn the windshield wipers on because the salesperson never taught you what the car had and how to use the car. Well, my specialty is especially with new buyers, young buyers, first-time buyers. They're walking in not knowing what they're walking into.
And there's so much emotion involved in that type of transaction as well.
Right. And they're going to be handed keys after closing, and they're going to walk in, and they won't even know which switch goes to which light yet, and they're going to start learning as they go along. With my inspection, I like the buyers to be there and walk around with me. So what happens is I'm explaining to them what's going on in their house that hopefully they're going to purchase. And if there are concerns that they have to negotiate, well, that's something they'll deal with the agents and their attorneys, but at least they're learning about their house so they know how everything works, show them where the main water shutoff is and why they need to know that, things like that.
It's amazing how many homeowners have been in the home 5-10 years.
Oh, absolutely.
And don't even know where that is.
Yeah. And a lot of homeowners don't even know what certain things do. I walk into a house, there'll be 3 switches on the wall, and the homeowners are there, and I'm like, where does this go? And I'll ask them, they're like, we've been here 20 years, we never use that switch, we have no idea. So now for the new buyers, I'm like, well, if they need any electrical work at any time, okay, have your electrician follow the line and find out where it goes. So that way If you're not doing any electrical work, then you could do the same thing that previous homeowners did. But at least they know that they don't know, so they have that information and that education.
I would imagine that approach allows you maybe to build a relationship with a potential buyer at a deeper level than probably I've heard in talking with other professionals in your position. So now, do you feel like that comes from martial arts, which is an interest of mine, right. the instructor in you of wanting to make sure that somebody's fully prepared for the situation that they're going into?
Absolutely. Like, I do not want someone walking in not understanding what they're walking into. I would feel I did a disservice to them if I notice something or can help them with something, especially if they're not, familiar with, buying. Sometimes the parents are there, they're telling them what's going on, but they're new, they're walking around, and you have to also understand that when they made an offer on this house, they saw the house for maybe 5-10 minutes. They went to an open house, walked around real quick, went home, made an offer, and now they have no clue what they just bought, and they're spending the most money they're ever going to spend in their life. So at least with an inspection, they have an hour and a half to walk around. Even if they're not walking around with me, they're free to do whatever they want in the house, to walk around, take measurements, plan their future, but see the house. So that way they can decide, like, we really love this house or we don't. I've had people that walked out after a half hour. They like, this is not what we thought we bought.
Right.
And they would just stop the inspection. Everything was fine with the house, but they realized, I didn't realize we made an offer on this house. I thought it was a different house, because they only saw it for a few minutes, and they saw 10 houses that Sunday, when they made their offer. So they changed. That only happened twice, over the years.
But the fact that it's happened
twice
is interesting.
So I'd let people know. I said, listen, walk around the house, take pictures, take measurements. You got furniture coming in and out, plan, see yourself living here, okay? And if I notice anything, I'll point it out to you. If you have any questions, you could just stop and ask me. But, get to know this house. You're going to be living here for the next, 15, 20, 30 years.
Yep, super emotional buy, especially you talk about, first-time home buyers, stars in their eyes, walking around. They're already thinking about the Christmases, but they're not looking at the furnace, right?
Exactly,
what needs to get done. What are some common misunderstandings that you see across the board with either current homeowners or potential buyers?
Misunderstanding as far as what I do, as far as
what to expect with an inspection.
Okay. Some people call me the engineer instead of the inspector. Okay, I just had that recently.
Okay.
So they're two different things. An engineer would be someone that is going to measure and evaluate things a little more deeply. Okay, my job basically is a general viewer of the home. Okay, I'm going to walk around the outside, walk around the inside, point out anything I notice. It's a visual inspection. It's not invasive. The only thing I open up is the electrical panel to look at the wiring, and sometimes the boiler. I'll open up the cover just to take a look, but it's not invasive at all. And my job is, if I see a crack somewhere, is to point it out and say, okay, if you're really worried about this, get a structural engineer or an architectural engineer, or get an electrician if there's an issue with electrical, or a plumber. So my job is to point out where to go next if they need it. If there's a hole in the roof, I'm like, all right, you would need to get a qualified roofer to come in here and find out why it's like that and what the details are to, correct that. So some people expect me to tell them what's wrong, how to fix it, how much it's going to cost, do the whole thing. And my job is just to point it out. Sure. That's all it is. And then put it in a report. And then from there, they can get, an evaluation by a qualified professional somewhere else.
I'd have to imagine that your previous history as a handyman and in construction, though, is helpful in knowing what you're looking at.
Right. Yeah, it definitely does help. One of the things I'm not allowed to do, I'm not allowed to quote prices.
Okay.
Even though people ask. Okay, it's one of the, the New York State does not allow you to do that. So people ask, I'm like, listen, I'm not allowed and I'm not allowed to refer anybody to do the work as well.
I could see where that would be a conflict of interest,
exactly.
number one.
Right, yeah.
And then also, quoting prices, your perception of prices may be different. And in many cases in a real estate transaction, it's not it's not necessarily just the pricing to go toward a repair, right? The pricing it directly impacts the negotiation.
Right, exactly.
So that's probably why. I mean, I can't speak for New York State, nor do I ever try. But that's probably why that you can't, make those determinations.
It's not my, decision to decide what this is going to cost. And I did handyman, so little odd jobs here and there. These are professionals. They're getting paid professional money, their labor, their parts. I can't quote what they're going to do.
Right.
If they really press me, I'll give them a range that's so wide that it won't matter. So that way they're still going to have to call somebody. I'm like, it could be anywhere from 5,000 to 15,000.
Well, yeah.
It's like,
you find a crack in the basement. It could be the teenage son threw his barbell against the wall.
Exactly.
Or it could be a serious foundational issue. Right. It's something to explore.
And that's why you need to get a professional in there that knows that specific, issue and, give them the right quote. And then from there they can, decide if they want to negotiate or just take care of it themselves or move on.
Hi, my name is Tyrone. I'm the owner and trainer here at Fly Fitness. We work with children of all ages, sports-specific training, soccer, basketball, lacrosse, football, you name it, we do it here. We also work with the beginner, the person that has never been in the gym before. We get you from point A, point B, and we take you through the alphabet of training. We also do rehab, ankles, back, knees, shoulders. The older we get, the more fragile we are. So those things that I just mentioned, those are things that we're definitely going to need help with. That's what we specialize in here at Fly Fitness. Come and join us.
What about sellers getting an inspection prior to? What's your perspective on that?
I've been pushing that for the past couple of years. I try to go to offices and talk to agents to press them on getting a pre-listing inspection because what I found out is, especially in this market, everybody wants to sell everything as is because there's a lot of buyers and not much inventory. So if you don't want any negotiating, okay, and you really want to sell it as is, then get a pre-listing inspection. So that way, if there's some things that you really have to take care of, because sometimes if there's a safety issue, if there's a leak, if there's a structural issue, those things still have to be taken care of, even if it's sold as is.
Sure.
Because you can't sell the house without the heat working. So if you get that pre-listing inspection, you eliminate all of that, and you can take care of a few things that might make the house value go up if you didn't even know about it. It's like, oh, I didn't even know this happened. So if I take care of this, then the person's gonna not see any red flags and anything else. So if one outlet looks bad, then people are like, so how many other outlets are bad? So if it's only one, I'm the homeowner, I'll take care of it. It never shows up, because it's done. So it's one less thing that you can make the buyers nervous about.
That's
so I definitely push it.
Such a great point because so often a deal will hang on not only what is right in front of you, but it's the what ifs.
Right, exactly. And buyers get nervous, so the less things to get nervous about, the better it is.
Fair enough. Right. Fair enough. From what do you think there is such hesitancy from the seller side to go ahead and
because they don't want to know what's wrong with the house. That's one.
Because once you know, you have to disclose, right? Yeah, fair enough.
Agents don't push it because they don't want to know what's wrong in the house because they have to disclose it if they know. But I explained to the agents, you're going to find out anyway because the buyer is probably going to get an inspection. So it's going to get disclosed at that point. So if you find out before or you find out after, it's better to have it before so that way you can eliminate it. So that way you don't have to worry about that buyer going back and forth trying to negotiate. And you can disclose it to them when they make an offer. You could say, listen, you're making an offer. The house is priced according to the fact that you need a new roof. We had an inspection done. The roof has to be replaced within the next year or so, but the price is according to that. So you could come in with your inspector, but if he tells you need a new roof, there's no negotiating. It's priced accordingly. So it saves them that headache later on by knowing beforehand.
Right, and you might have multiple deals on the table, and everybody's scenario story is different, right? You may have a buyer that is not as sensitive to some of the things that need to get done, and you can take that into consideration, right? Because if let's say you go another route and you don't have the inspection in place, you could lose that buyer that would have said, that's okay, I'll just get that fixed, or let's just negotiate it this way, versus someone who says, exactly, there's there's one outlet. What if all the outlets
exactly.
are
They get
wrong?
nervous. And the only time I would say waiving an inspection is acceptable if you're a contractor, you already know what you're looking at. Okay, so
Fair enough.
you don't really need somebody else coming in there because you build houses or whatever you do. Okay, or if you're going to knock the house down and start from scratch anyway. So some people
Those are two
like
very narrow
exactly,
scenarios.
Right. That's about it. But if you're buying a house and you're going to be living in that house, or you're going to be, flipping the house and you don't want to spend that much money, you want to get an inspection to find out what you're walking into and what you're dealing with.
Right. What do you think are some of the key differentiators between those in your industry that are kind of at the top level of service and those who maybe just let some things go by?
Some inspectors will let things go by because they just want to get more business from the agents and they don't want to kill a deal. So what I do is I try to point everything out, but I explain it in a way where it's not alarming to the buyers. So some inspectors are alarmist. So they see a leak in the roof.
It's their time to shine,
and
right?
now they're like, okay, these are all the things that are wrong with this. It's going to cost you a fortune. And the buyers are like, okay, they start getting nervous. Okay, I'm going to point out the leak in the roof because I have to. Because if I don't, then they're going to call me afterwards and they're like, you didn't tell us about the leak in the roof. So I have to do my job. But I'm going to point it out in a way where it's like, okay, there's a leak in the roof. It can be taken care of. It can be repaired. If you do this and do this, in a way where it's calm and they sit back and they just gathering the information. Now, if they decide they don't want to go with the house, it's not because I scared them away. I just pointed out there was a leak in the roof, and I try to do it in a nice, calm way, just like I would teach. I teach martial arts, so just like I would teach a kid, how to do a move, and he's having trouble with it. I'm not going to yell at him for it. I'm like, no, be patient and explain to them. It can be fixed, and anything can be fixed. Like the house could be falling apart, and you could still fix the house. Just got to spend more money, but nothing can't be fixed. So in a way, so that way the agents like the way I explain it. So that way they're like, oh, okay, we thought there was going to be a problem because there was a leak in the roof, but these people still want to buy the house because they understand it's not that big of a deal. It can be taken care of.
Right, right. And I think that's the most honest approach, right? Because to your point, there's really not too many things that you can come across in a home that are insurmountable. That would look. There are some things that if it's a tight deal anyway, or if there's extenuating factors, but for the most part, when everything is visible, right. And transparent in the process, then both can make the determination, and the seller knows exactly what they have, and the buyer knows potentially exactly what they're getting, and that's that's just good business, right?
Exactly. And it all depends on how much they're paying for it, because some people ask. One question I ask, would you buy this house?
Ooh, how do you answer that question?
I say, I would buy any house if it was for the right price. Because you could walk into a house and they're selling it, say, for $500,000, but the house is worth $600,000. So like, all right, you're getting a good price. But if it's only worth $400,000, no, I wouldn't buy the house. I'll try to get, So if a house is falling apart, but I'm getting it for like half the cost, and I know if I put in the other half, it's going to be a brand new house, it's worth it. Any house can be built and rebuilt, taken apart and put back together. So I tell people, I say, I have no idea what you're paying for this house. I don't know what your financial situation is, okay, but this is a good house. If you love this house and you see yourself living here, then you should buy this house.
Are you a homeowner who is looking to expand your home so you have enough space for everything you need in your home? Or do you want to renovate because the interior just doesn't work for your needs anymore? Or are you someone who's looking for a property, but nothing that you've been looking at really fits what you need? Well, my name is Catherine Serrano Sosa. I'm the founder of Rooted Architecture Studio, and I can help you bring those renovations and adjustments to life. At Rooted Architecture Studio, we focus on creating meaningful, inclusive, client-centric designs for homeowners and investors. We walk you through the whole process of designing construction and making sure that you understand what's going on, but take away all the layers so you can sit back and just focus on the deliverables of what we're designing. We make sure that your non-negotiables are integrated and your wants and needs are integrated to the best of our abilities. So if you are looking to do anything that I just discussed, or just have ideas that you might want to talk about what the possibilities may be, give us a call and reach out through social media as well, and we'll be happy to help you. And if you're looking for a new property, make sure to connect with Dream Select Realty. They're the right people to help you find the right property for you and make sure that your needs are integrated. Or if we're renovating, we can all collaborate together to bring that vision to life.
So unless you're talking about new construction, then, and sometimes with new construction too, there's guys right now on TikTok, on Instagram that go through the new construction homes. That
sometimes they're worse than the old construction.
It's pretty wild, some of the things that you see, but there are still many great builders in that side.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But it's just it's about being meticulous and knowing what you got. Right. And finding the right professionals that are going to tell you the truth and do so. I really appreciate that you do so in a way, to not just because I'm an agent, right? But you do so in a way that's not alarming.
Right. Exactly.
Right. So you've been doing this for a bit, right? Tell us some stories of things that you've found and maybe led to, we'll call a happy ending, one where the homeowner was able to, the buyer was able to make the right decision.
Making the right decision, a lot of stories, because most of them end up buying the house. I've only had a small percentage of people that get the inspection and they walk away or things don't work out. But a lot of times, people walk in and they're just unsure what they're walking into, and after the inspection, they actually feel better because they see things and they think they're worse than they are. So they look at something, they see a crack in the foundation, and they look at it as like, oh, and then, I explain to them, this is normal. The house is 100 years old, okay? This crack probably happened 90 years ago, So now that means the house is settled already. It's in good shape. It's not going anywhere. You could see, certain things. And, most of the situations, I would say that 95% of my inspections, people end up, being happy. They contact me afterwards. I send them an email the day after, usually a couple months after, just to, get an update. And I've had people call me during their walkthrough, if they see something, because sometimes the house is not in a situation where you can see a lot of things. So all of a sudden, now everything's clear and open, and they start noticing things. They'll call me up, and they'll send me pictures of text pictures.
I was going to say, how do you handle that?
Yeah, so I look at the picture if I'm available, and I'll just explain to them what it is. I had one situation where the agent and the buyer were walking through a house, and there was a leak in the ceiling of the bathroom, okay, or there was a water stain, okay, it was bubbling up. So they said, did you see that during the inspection? So I'm like, I don't remember. The inspection was 3 months ago, right? So I said, let me go back and look at my pictures. If I caught a picture of it, and I actually happen to have a picture of the same spot they took a picture of, because the bathroom did not have a fan in it. So I usually take a picture of the shower with the ceiling to show that there's no fan in there. And same picture was not bubbling up that I had from 3 months ago. So they know that's a new leak. So now they're asking me, is it coming from? I have no idea where it's coming from. It's in a bathroom. There's plumbing in there. There's no fan. It could be from moisture, from condensation. So now they had to get a plumber in there and take a look. And they were happy that I had those pictures so they can compare it, because the seller was saying that was there during the inspection.
Okay.
Because they didn't realize it. So now they said, no, this is the before, this is the after. So it happened after the inspection. So they were very happy that I was able to show them that, and they could point that out. And then they found out that it was just moisture coming through, was not a big deal, and they got some sort of compensation for it to get it repaired, to fix the wall and paint the bathroom. So they were very happy that I was able to provide that information to them.
It pays to be thorough.
Right. Yeah, I take as many pictures as possible. Even if I don't use them all in the inspection, I keep them on file just in case as well.
Excellent. Yeah. What are some other tips that you would give potential homeowners, or even homeowners at this time, in regards to an inspection?
The main thing is walk around your house and just really look at everything that is in your house. Imagine yourself being the buyer, okay, as you're walking around your own house, okay, and look and see what somebody's going to potentially find out as something that might be a red flag, okay. So look around. If you see an outlet that's loose, okay, or the covers off the outlet, or a switch that's not working, or a light bulb that's not turning on and off, or a window that might, have a crack in it or doesn't lock, things like that. A door that doesn't close all the way, any cracks in the walls, any water stains, because this is a mistake that a lot of people make. Sellers do this all the time. In the bathroom, kitchens, they have a water stain, they just paint it, and then they do their open house. So everything looks great during the open house. Within a week or two, that water stain's coming back through.
Yeah, they come right back through.
Because it's water paint and a water stain. Water's going to go right through the water, and it's going to discolor the paint and the wall anyway. So what I tell the sellers, I'm like, is there a leak? They're like, no. I said, good. Then you can hide that. Like how? Every time I paint it, it comes back. Okay, you use a oil-based primer that will seal it, and then paint over it. It will never come back unless there's a real leak up there. They're like, okay. Then they do that, and so hide things that aren't a concern anymore.
Sure.
Or else they're going to keep showing up. And you can't keep painting it every other week. Because people are going to notice, why does that ceiling look a lot newer than all the other ceilings? There must have been a problem up there. So try to make everything look the same, even, and walk around, because a lot of sellers are buying somewhere else. So they're looking at other houses. So walk into your house as if you're going into somebody else's house and figure out what, needs to be done.
I like your approach. It's no cause for alarm, but be prepared.
Right, exactly.
That's black belt thinking right there, isn't it? Awesome.
Be prepared.
How would folks get in touch with you for a home inspection?
You can call me at 516-301-0391 or email me at panettahomeinspections@gmail.com.
Awesome.
All right. I do have an Instagram account as well and a Facebook account. It's Panetta Home Inspections, Panetta_home_inspections, or Facebook. But the email and the phone is the best way to get in contact with me.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us today. And thank you for tuning in as well to the Dream is Real podcast. Like, share, subscribe, turn on those notifications. If you want to find us on Instagram and TikTok, it's at Dream Select Realty. On X, it's at Dream Select Home. If you want to be part of this program, home team at dreamselectrealty.com. We'll see you next time. And remember, the dream is real.